Hey everybody. So yesterday I had gotten some code working for the lookat, animating the lookat um, on the UI. So basically like the idea is that like when I add a mesh and then let's say I add a camera or I have a camera and right now the mesh is sitting at 0, 0, and let's say I animate the camera and I have the camera go from like, let's say, -3 to 3. See, so now the camera's moving in front and it's staring at the mesh, but what would be really cool is if I could then go ahead and go into the mesh and animate that. And this gets a little weird because I have some stuff to fix. Um, and I make this -3 to 3, and then I go into Y, and I make this 0 and 0, just make them match up, and then Z, uh, yeah, 0, 0. So basically, they're kind of sitting and they're moving along with each other, but the problem is that um, the camera is moving along with it, but it's staring at the 0, 0 point. So like, let's say I add another mesh. See, it's the middle is in the middle, but I think in some it would be kind of nice if I could make the look at also animated so that it's instead of it staring at the one in the middle, it's staring at it's focused on the one that's moving. And what would be nice, and the reason that would be nice is because then if I had like a background, that would be a pretty cool effect. So like I mentioned, I didn't have yesterday's video. I didn't have a whole lot of time yesterday to work on this stuff. So basically, all I got done was getting the look at, because yesterday this was showing like a object in there, or if you looked at the raw, it was showing it just said object there. So I did an update for that, and that's this stuff right here. Start value. See, now it used to look at the look at, which is an object, but now it's looking at the start value. And it's basically rinse and repeat. All four changes fix that issue. Now, um, the other thing I had was kind of hoping I might be able to get to, which I wasn't, was to get this drop down to show stuff. And so I figured it might be cool. Let me hit start now. It might be cool. We're almost 3 minutes in. It might be cool to kind of just show, because I don't really remember exactly how I built this stuff out, and just show how I would go about finding that change. Now, this is going to be a heck of a lot easier than it would be in most commercial environments to figure out. It may not be easier to code, but it'd be easier to figure out. And the reason is because in this you could easily just search for Z position or Y position or X position, but in most professional environments, at the sometimes they have like internationalization, so you won't actually be able to find the actual text inside of the application, because it'll be like a code, so that whenever you're showing it like in English, it shows one word, but you're showing it in Spanish, it shows a different word. Another reason is quite often these sorts of pieces of data are driven from the back end via some database. So you have to update a database. Um, and so you won't be able to find it. And then those are, so typically you wouldn't be able to. I could do that in this because I didn't do any of that stuff, but I would show you how I would, probably my first steps would be to do this inspect, and then sort of, I don't know why it's not. Maybe it's, oh, I know why, because that's open, and the way they do that, I would do an inspect here, and so basically what I try to figure out is, okay, what component is this in, and see, there's a ton of markup that isn't my markup, that is basically the Angular material markup, but it looks like this is inside of app animated items. So then you can do this, control copy, and you can search for app animated items. And you'll get, if okay, so depending on how your stuff works, so it's very possible that this would be like something that, like, wherever you work at, they might have like another library that has all of your components that are front end UI components in them, and so that might be coming in from there. Um, so you might not be able to see it, but it is also possible. I haven't. Our cat just came up, and that cat hasn't been here for a couple of days, so I'm showing it some love. Um, but it is also possible that it is in there, and if it is in your actual code base, then you should have at least two files that have it. And one will be the HTML file that actually implements it, and then one will be the actual implementation, and that will hit up in your selector of your TS. That there are lots of variations on the way these things are done, but this is typical. So the selector of this is app animated items. So the next thing is to try to figure out, okay, how is this Z position and all that going, being rendered? And oh, look, we have these menu items. So this is sort of equivalent to, it's kind of funny because whenever I pick up the cat will then quit bugging me for a little bit. Um, but um, but yeah, so this is sort of equivalent to sort of on the database. And so I remember, now I'm starting to remember, let me expand on that. When I made this up, how I was like, there's always sort of some sort of lookup scheme. So this is our lookup scheme. Um, so comma, and so I want this one to be xlookAt. So I'm glad that this actual name that is on that's being rendered um, is not, um, what am I trying to say? Is not tied to the actual value. So that means we can make very human friendly, readable pieces of information. And then item values, I think that would be what I call it in my TypeScript. And I don't remember that off the top of my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at the um, camera interface and hope to heck that they're the same. And they are. So that, I think this is the item value. I'm not 100% sure on that. So then, and then there's the three property. And to, okay, so item value apparently is limited. So let's go ahead and go to this definition. Interface properties. Okay, so then we should add X lookup here. All right, so that tightens everything up a little bit. Okay, so now it's breaking, and this is like sort of nice for this is one of my favorite things about TypeScript, is that you get these things. So item property name. Oh, and it's probably upset because I didn't go all the way through. Okay, so item value, it's still complaining about this. And then, okay, so let's just go ahead and figure out what the three property is. And I think I'm lucky because the levels are the same. So in the way we can see what the three property is in the service in animations. I'm just going to look at. And let's go up. So it looks like this is the name of the property. So I would imagine we can do something like, let me just make sure, camera. You look at set X. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So then, I just wanted to make sure that that was possible. And I misspelled camera. Oh no, there is not a set X. Okay, so that is going to be a problem because I was hoping that they had implemented on the 3 side, they'd implemented like individual um, methods to update the X. So that is something I'm going to have to figure out, because that means we don't actually have the hierarchy, at least the shape of the hierarchy, where we have 3 layers of things. So like if I go back up to here, no, not to there, to here, see how we go to position. So I was hoping to be able to say look at, and then I was hoping to be able to say X, and that would work. But it doesn't look like that exists. It looks like I'm going to have to, and I think that's a capital. So it doesn't look like that actually exists. So it looks like we're going to have to be creative and come up with like a whole, like a way to sort of merge this scheme into the way LookAt works, because it looks like I'm just going to have one, and then it looks like I won't have, well, yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not exactly sure exactly how I'm going to get this to work. But, you know, that's why I do this. This is exactly what I want to really truly understand, the deep down parts of ThreeJS, and this is how you do that. So I'm almost out of time. I'm definitely going to continue to work on that after this video. And happy coding, everybody. Bye.